in one of those lucid dreams. I walk within your maze. My head is dizzy like the purple haze. I don't know where we're going, but the clues that you are throwing are leading me back home to you. 'Cause you got the feeling high, like I'm lucid dreaming about the flying, yeah. 'Cause I can't believe that I get to have you close on an empty street, levitating now in one of those lucid dreams. Oh yeah, in one of those lucid dreams.
In 2018, we witnessed one man begin the climb as an Overwatch caster. The adventure began with quick play casting, where RichRad brought a new level of excitement and intensity to the casual and competitive gamer, making every quick play feel as if you were a pro.
Doomfist, though, to contest against it. Supercharger now going to be joined in conjunction with it to try and get the extra damage. Coalescence to force them back. Jet's going to be overwhelmed as the support's going to get picked off. Triple kill with Sorky dominating on the front.
During RichRad's growth in the competitive Overwatch scene, he accelerated through small community tournaments, leading him to cast Open Division and even gained the opportunity to commentate Tier 2 Chinese Overwatch contenders. With his consistent growth and loyal community, it's finally time for RichRad to bring the excitement here for you today. Hello and welcome everybody, as we are coming in live to you right now for the bronze placement. We've already seen Mystery Inc. claiming the grand finals, but we have an interesting matchup today between Inevitable and the Black Cracks. But without further ado, we have Labasco here once again, and I am stoked to be able to cast this because we have some serious veterans, not only in real life friends, going head to head here, and it is going to be quite a match between these two, and I guarantee you they've got some salt ready to sprinkle on the enemy.
Oh, they've already been talking in chat. Like, somebody already said ban Busan. and I said that is just something that shouldn't be allowed.
Nope.
And that they should probably try playing in traffic because that's a better idea. You know, things like that already being said. Talks about curses and stuff like that. And we have a witch in Swampy too, who's part of
Yes.
everything as well on Inevitable. So, you know, those things are always a possibility anyways. But as far as the Overwatch is concerned, Rich, this should be fun to watch regardless. When you
Yes.
have a bunch of friends playing against each other, you tend to have things just, you know, even if one team has a higher SR than the other, it doesn't really matter at this point because it's going to be a ton of fun regardless. You don't always play to your perfect potential when you're playing against friends.
And honestly, as you said, it's really just going back and forth. No honor, the caps and everything just ensuing on the screen. As we will just take one last look, even though this is the bronze match, we will still be doing a best of 5. So we will lead in the way as they would love to ban, but cannot because the rules state it. Busan will be first, as Kyoto says never are. Well, too bad, my friend. Too bad.
Busan is a beautiful map. It is a great map. It brings a lot of variety to the game. We should love and appreciate good map design like Busan because we don't have enough maps that are as well designed as Busan. But control maps do tend to be the more well-designed ones anyways, just based on how they're played. But regardless, this should be a fun match to start off on, a good map to start on. We don't know what map of the 3 possibilities we're going to get yet for Busan. But, you know, Mecha Base ends up being more tank heavy because of the more close proximity. Then you have downtown, which has a lot of openings. And we're actually going to Mecha Base here first, Rich. So, you know, tanks are good here. May's pretty good here. There's a lot of options that we can see from both of these teams.
And honestly, right before I remove the text there, I love how Psyche Siren, again, longtime veteran of the community, has said you have nothing but troublemakers here. So this is truly going to be quite the matchup between the two of them. And like I said, just I cannot wait to see. I mean, again, I'm not going to show it for stream by any means, but like just after this matchup, I just cannot wait to see how the future streams are going to be with, again, these few seconds before we can start at least seeing what types of compositions we're going to have here. If we're going to see some just foul gameplay with maybe the Torbjorn like we see with Kyoto, or actually have some legitimate strats here.
Is there anybody in particular, you know, as far as people from the community that you're wanting to really look at, Rich? Because obviously you know these people so well. I got to know some of these people at ASEN is the nice thing. And even, you know, Yoshi is somebody that I've gotten to know from his time on University of DePaul. But is there anybody in particular you want to see go against each other?
I mean, honestly, the two people that I really feel are just going to have a good time right now is going to be Cog and... Man, I want to say, like, Cog just raining damage onto Yoshi, even though, like, Yoshi's newer to the community. Or just, like, the support battle. I'm wondering if they're going to look for those support picks in the back. Swampy and Turtle, knowing each other personally, cosplaying together in this, that they're going to see who can maybe get that support kill.
Yeah, that's going to be definitely one to watch. When you talk about people who are really good friends and know each other, oh, well, there goes the start, though, Rich. You already have the early advantage to one side.
Zovius getting the double kill, taking out Cog. Again, that pharmacy composition. So you see now Inevitable at least claiming this point first, but they'll start to fall back slightly. Grey Gnarl doing a great job trying to retreat, taking a breather, but will get staggered on the high ground here. So they at least have some decent percentage and going to continue to climb.
Yeah, you still have an easier way to go about this. Isn't the perfect composition to really stop you from maybe pushing your way through. You do have to be careful with the Reinhardt, of course, and the Zarya, but you know, the Genji is somebody who's going to just try and dash into you, but it's not, you know, it's not the biggest threat if you push right through, but the Coalescence is.
Swampy looking to get that damage through the choke point here very early to keep the team alive as they will get a nice pick. Zovius in the back on this McCree doing such a great job. Nobody sees him actually on the flanking position right now through that doorway, just getting a lot of value with these shots. And again, that Peacekeeper update from the recent patch is just being able to funnel so much damage out, but now you're going to see that Dragon Blade immediately brought down by Funk Frog. Cowboy trying to return it here to see if they can start moving forward.
Well, like you said, you can see the value that the McCree can bring, the flashbang, and then the right click onto the Dragon Blade, and it just continues to push forward.
And you will see the collapse trying to find the Zen in the backside. Can Funk Frog get that Yoshi play? Flashbang does get the double. And now going to continue pushing his Turtlefish. Looks to claim the kill on Gilgamesh. Just telling him exactly how she feels after the lovely encounter at ASEN with one another. As they're going to be like, look, I'm going to get you too. You may have driven us there, but I'm going to take no longer the backseat and claim a kill as a support.
Yeah, sitting in the front seat as the support is always a that's always a good feeling, especially when you think about being a Mercy as well. Always a little bit of a different thing, or even on the Baptiste too. Both of those supports are always good to get kills on. And then right now, though, we've seen it's the McCree, Zovius, and then on the other side, Funk Frog, that have sort of been the stars of this early on. So we'll have to pay attention to both of those McCrees as we move forward.
Ooh, Flash v Flash does get first by Funk, but will be taken out by Zovius on that side for Inevitable. Nice counter flick here as they do get the res back online. High Noon on the backside trying to find some value with it. Will have to fall back as the Fire Strike gets a lot of damage here, but they're about to surpass them in percentages. The Transcendence is not going to come out, getting a lot of assistance by Yoshi, doing a great job transitioning down to the low ground, as they're just going to still have this fight ensue here, Labasco.
The thing is, though, is they still need to be able to find these picks. The high ground Deadeye, though, that's the opening that you can create with that.
Ooh, and the triple flashbang onto Cog mid-air as they are now at 60-60, neck and neck, as they just want to clear the last two tanks off. Grey Gnarl going to go down, and like you said, it really is going to be the battle of the Cowboys here.
With the change, it's so significant, the amount of damage that you can output as the McCree, and you can see Sovius not just doing it, though, with the output damage from just the change in the left click, but also the Deadeye positioning on the high ground. If you can't really get away from that, that's really tough. Oh, Flash Hyper, you can't die like that to Cog. It's a little early.
Cog's been doing amazing on this Pharah play. We saw some stellar positioning against Mystery Inc. as they're going to try and carry that over into this, and Siren just fueling him in the back, and now they have the Rocket Barrage with several ultimates, too, here.
A lot to work with, but this is still a tough thing to do as the Ferret's a very low ceiling.
And now looking for that continuous follow-up. The early pick onto the support coming out by Funk Frog as Cog's just going to continue to rain damage, looking for Gil, wanting to take him out, but no! Flash manages to take him out. They're still not out of the fight just yet. Rez is going to be used nicely here by Siren to get Cog back online as they're getting into this last fight territory.
Yeah, they had to try and get away, but Gilgamesh and Flash could not. So now you're kind of in a situation where you're scrambling as you're trying to get back together. This is last fight territory. They have the ultimates to do, but they've got to try and get back together at 6 quickly. And they got a lot of players that are falling behind right now for Inevitable.
Seeing if they can lead now with that Coalescence. Does get hooked, almost past. Whew! Unbelievable job sacrificing that ultimate for it, but keeping alive as they continue to now get the grab to follow up. Immortality Field is there with the High Noon by Funk Frog, only finding one, but taking out their counterpart. But the Earth Shatter comes out by Tank. Can they get enough to try and turn this back around? Yoshi on the Lucio versus the Zenyatta with that great displacement capabilities and just throughput damage, even on the support, as they're now in the 99% overtime, looking to take it back as they get an entire team kill and don't know if Bike Racks can get back into this.
And nobody's going to be able to get to touch Rich because it was 93%. They don't even get an overtime meter here, so that works out perfectly for Inevitable. Like, that was the perfect percentage to lose the fight at for them because you don't get a chance for an overtime to start. If it was a couple percentage points higher, the overtime meter would have started, and then there would have been that chance for the Bike Racks.
As we now look into this next one, we're going to be going downtown of Busan. A lot of verticality to this, where they will use Cog as much as possible, and you're gonna see now Flash Hyper look to hover over the Widow, but may choose to go onto the Tracer. I wouldn't say that the Widowmaker is a bad pick, especially for how aggressive Cog is playing, but at the same time, if Cog can get close enough to a Widowmaker, it can really just nullify that type of hit scan. So it's interesting to see as they're gonna just probably focus on, you know, Zovius with the McCree.
There's mention of Roundabout. I don't know why we're talking about the ending of JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, which is one of the best 2B continues of all time. But regardless, though, this match is going to be continued on downtown. And as you were saying, though, the Widowmaker here for Flash is definitely a good choice. There are some very good sight lines. You can get onto that high ground, deal a lot of damage. And if Yoshi's doing that, I mean, that's just boding well for your team. If your support's the first one getting in the limb.
And you see now Flash finding some sightlines, though. Zovius to lead up very quickly after, looking to maybe now reposition on the low ground, going to look for Funk Frog. Can they get the pick? Nope, it's not going to happen for Flash, but we do get the kill coming out by Tank. They'll take this quickly as they're going to start generating some percentage here with now some switch coming out by 3 members of the side of the Bike Racks, 4 in total, actually.
They're still going to keep themselves with the Pharah, but they're going to have the Doomfist now, so a lot more burst potential here. This is a little bit of a rougher map for Doomfist, but it still works out. There's still plenty of buildings to punch people in, especially with the positioning right now of where Inevitable is. We'll see how much quickly they realize that there's a Doomfist on the other side. Very roundabout. And now here's roundabout. A roundabout way. to go around by the bike racks to try and reposition themselves behind where Inevitable was.
And honestly, we've seen Kong in the community play a really good Doomfist, but unfortunately, Tank is going to be able to get that nice pick early. Siren, unfortunately, going to go down by that Widowmaker play on the side of Inevitable, continuing to get, but easily harassed by Kyoto on the high ground, managing to get that pick, but still keeping it at 42%. If anything, they really need to try and manage, I think, their grouping, because they got a little bit too scarce there and were easily picked off.
I think part of it, too, when you look at the rotation that ended up happening there, Rich, is they just knew where they were going. They saw them rotating behind them. They're like, that's fine. We'll move into a better position ourselves and poke you as you try to come to us. So by the time the Doom even gets there, he's already dead.
Now trying to get some funnel damage in by Zovius on the low ground, still having the Deadeye as they get the Doomfist engaged. There's the wall you were talking about. No Deadeye available as the Coalescence is here to lead by Swampy, having to watch out from the flank as they do get a lot of damage still from the Doomfist. Will get at least an exchange, taking out one, but Inevitable still holding on here. Transcendence forced as they might just have enough to look to claim this point here.
They're getting plenty still from the other members of their team. Even though they're losing their main damage dealer in the McCree, they still have plenty to help out. Flash Hyper on that Sombra too. The hacks are something that are so important. Now you have a Deadeye that can really just finish this off for you because you can use it on the point and force players away.
Flash Hyper looking to try and get that opportunity on the Sombra to take down Cog out of the sky, getting a lot of damage thrown. Are they going to be able to touch this point, trying to quickly get there? And no! They're going to fall short. Will not be able to get there as Inevitable will claim this control point against bike racks first, especially on the map that has the bike rack, at which that RichRad continuously gets stuck on.
I thought that the wrecking ball was going to get on, Rich. I thought we were going to have a last fight of some kind, but the pile driver down took too long, so we don't even get the fight. We're going to see a cool play of the game, though, from Zovius there. That's a nice little flashbang shot to get the Pharah out of the sky, but after Mecha Base was so close, and then that was a very dominant downtown from Inevitable.
I agree, and it's one of those things where we're going to be interested to see how they move forward now. Since they're going into the assault map, there has been the adjustments to it, and it's almost like control maps are really more of just that scrappy kind of fighting, where you have to take, I think, a little bit more of like a time to strategically kind of enter into these types of maps. So we'll see how now that bike racks have the opportunity to evaluate Inevitable, as they're hoping to now see what works for them, how to counter it. They've seen the strengths of the bike racks and also Inevitable firsthand. And what do you think they'll be able to do here going into this assault map to maybe kind of turn it around into their favor against Inevitable?
I think the big thing right now that I'm not seeing from the bike racks is a focus fire. It just seems like everybody's kind of off killing their own target or focusing on a different target from where everyone else is. And when you have Cog who's playing Doomfist, then sure, that sort of makes a little bit more sense. But your other characters should be focusing on targets together, and even, you know, finishing off that target that maybe the Doomfist doesn't get the wall, you know, the wall slam to get the kill. Yeah. So I think just a little bit more focus fire needs to come out from them is one of the things. They just kind of seem a little bit too spread out at times. And maybe playing compositions that are a little bit tighter together will help just naturally coalesce and force them to sort of have to do that. That's one option that they have. Of course, we do go to an assault map next, so you could just play a bunker composition, and we know that for Inevitable, that is something that was sort of their kryptonite in their semifinals match that forced them into this game. So if they've done their homework for the bike racks, you know, set a bike rack down and just throw up that Orisa shield and throw a Bastion or something behind it, and you're good.
And honestly, it looks like we are going to select Volskaya Industries, the first time we will actually be able to see it through the tournament. So bike racks here, I think, just kind of thrown maybe, you know, a little bit of a curveball here to see how they're going to play it. And they've notoriously chosen Hanamura because of the bunker, you know, opportunity. And they could use it here, but I feel it's maybe something they're going to try and stretch away from using this type of map.
It's definitely not as strong on this map is one thing for sure, because you do have more avenues to attack it, and there's not as many good, you know, sort of stronghold points to place that bunker composition down. So I think you're right that maybe that's why they want to go this way. I think if you're Inevitable, you're really happy about that, because again, we saw them struggle mightily with it in their semifinal round. So this works out pretty well as far as what they would want to see. They're going to the defense here again, too, for the side of Inevitable to start off. So they're showing us that they're still gonna play a bunker of some kind with the Ferris. So this is actually sort of similar to compositions we see run against Clockwork Vendetta, Rich.
And honestly, I'm curious to see how the bike racks will respond to this, since it's, you know, something I feel a little bit out of the ordinary. Love that attempt to throw the turret on the high ground there. I'm sorry, I had first-person view of that and still struggling, Yoshi.
You know what?
Sorry.
He got it. Got it.
He got it. Third time's the charm. As the doors now will open.
They, you know, DePaul is not known as a school where they're extremely athletic or anything like that, and the intelligence is, you know, sometimes in question.
What
But
a jab
got
here from the man himself. Yoshi gonna look back at this VOD and give a quick side eye to you, my friend.
He knows I'm just playing. DePaul's a great school. It really is. It's a fun school, too.
It's a good thing I don't work with them, because I'd probably be in jeopardy. But as we do get the fight to ensue here, Grey Gnarl on the front trying to get some Tesla damages. Zovius looks to get a nice pick here to reset the back line. Inevitable, I think, doing a really great job here on this defense to try and force back the bike racks and getting a lot of damage funneled in here, as the shield will come back up. And now going to have to force a retreat.
And I think they need to rethink how they're trying to do this. The Orisa versus the Orisa here is a little bit tougher when you're the Orisa coming forward. Unless you have the damage to really take care of the shield in front of tank, you're making it a little bit more difficult on yourself. They do have the Winston, though, who can sort of go in aggressively, but they don't have much that can go with the Winston is the only problem. So they've got to be very concise with what they do.
And Cog managing to find value will have the res, though, for it to see. Gilg actually surprisingly doing a great job here with the Rocket Barrage. Now going to come out trying to execute a few members with the Tactical as well by Flash Hyper. And you see Inevitable on this defensive side utilizing their ultimates very effectively and going to force back the bike racks once again here.
Definitely the Visor was a very effective ultimate. I don't know about the Barrage so much. I think maybe Gilgamesh could have held on to that because it looked like a pretty easy cleanup if he just decides to left-click those last few players that were alive. And he didn't really just get much value out of it. So that's just one thing that you kind of lose out now. But the nice thing is because they're starting to move away from that static comp, you can still get that built up real quick.
Now still trying to focus that front line. You see Yoshi looking to get that Molten Core, which is going to be a very good... Ooh, and the Cog now positioning with Doomfist, playing very aggressive on the high ground. Does get the kill onto Flash Hyper, who doesn't have that opportunity to really escape from it once finding the combination. And now going to attempt to go for the Pharah, but will dive out, as we've seen Cog do so many times before, as they're going to look to try and push onto this Labasco.
That's all right. They created their opportunity. They do manage to block most of that Deadeye as well. So now it's focusing down these last few targets, especially the Pharah in the sky. And you've got to deal now with all the damage that's going to come out from Yoshi.
Now self-destruct, maybe going to gain some value. The hammer... Ooh, no, I was going to say, I thought that was a hammer kill. It was a turret kill by Yoshi. I was going to say being the MVP and going to just take a nice little sit on the point there as they will look to reset. Minute and 20 seconds, so they have at least Grey Gnarl with that Winston Primal Rage. And hopefully going to gain at least one more here as Kong looks to do a nice reset and not give any ult charge.
So even though that Deadeye didn't get anything, it pushed everybody into an area where Yoshi's ultimate worked perfectly. So that's just a really good recognition by your Torb to be able to do that. But now you've got a lot of ultimates out. If you're to the side of the bike rafts, this is going to be your opportunity as you're starting to get close to a lot of ults.
Still have to be careful. A lot of damage coming in overhead. Rocket Barrage now ready. Gilg will go down. Great response by Kyoto, but they have the res to get tank back up, so they at least still have the Orisa on the side of Inevitable. Hyper Flash hoping to get that Tactical Visor soon enough to try and get the pick out as Cog still deals a significant amount of damage against the team. Looking for those combos as the Meteor Strike is now going to be forced on the high ground. Looking for the kill. Does get very close to taking him down and finding the support just short and shy of it as they're going to just pressure so hard with 24 seconds to go here, Labasco.
They're making this work. It took a little bit, but they had the ultimates to really end up making this work out. Even though they missed with a couple of them, they hit with a few key ultimates and they stopped whatever ultimates Inevitable had. They will get some time. Gilgamesh with a nice little bit of a stagger there to kind of kill off a couple of like 20 more seconds, but the next part here is you don't have quite as much time going on to the next point. You're only at 2:57. You don't get that 4 minutes. So you have to be very, very cognizant. If you're going to change your composition, you've got to do it now. Oh no, it's all getting caught at the beginning. You're going to get staggered at the start. You got to wait.
Flash A little bit of a nice just peekaboo corner there. I don't think Cog was even ready for it as they found the damage boost arrow with Swampy sticking very close by, as they're going to now have to watch out for that Torbjorn turret that continues to round about on the platform.
Okay, now they have to hurry, though. Yoshi made a mistake. You have to capitalize on it. This is a good time to maybe throw in your Deadeye and create some space.
Cog now in a difficult spot. The Dragon Strike almost about to get it. The Deadeye coming out as well. Their combination on this aggression was done so very well. Molten Core, Cog almost getting the pick onto him before he completed it, but still getting a lot of value here as Flash maintains that back position to continue harassing, but the Molten Core still giving at least some sort of distance. 2 minutes to go. They have the respawn advantage on Inevitable, but still have a long way to go here.
Yeah, there's still a couple of targets you have to deal with. They should be able to clear this off. They don't even give up 33%, which is the most key part about this entire thing. They did make some swaps, though, so now they are without a bunch of ultimates, and you're so close to a bunch of really key ultimates that can win you the fight, especially if you get a very good self-destruct. You know, you can use your Winston Primal Rage to throw people back into that self-destruct, too. So you have ultimates that can combine for the side of the bike racks to really at least start to build up some percentage and maybe win you this fight.
And we see Zovius switching onto the Reaper. And with this, you know, type of map where they're so focused on the point, you can get a lot of explosive damage. The healing allows the sustain, the harass just to maintain that you can get that respawn advantage. But there's, like you said, a lot of ultimates coming up here. Cog about to have the Meteor Strike, and they're going to look to really go on this with Siren leading the way here, Labasco.
Finally pushing their way forward. Cog just has to be careful. If Cog stays alive, they have a chance into this fight. Oh, and there's the kill on the tank, so you lose so much from the Zarya at the start.
And now Cog manages to get the assist onto the support. There's another bolt of them out of the way, as it's only going to be that Torb play by Yoshi remaining on the point, starting to claim it. There's another, a consistent push on this point, staggering them back. Meteor Strike to secure it just in case, as they are going to look to complete this with no more members. But no, they managed to get back. Meteor Strike to drop, looking for the follow-up now. Doom v Doom does get the kill onto Flash Hyper. Cog outmatching him as they will look to take this completion on Volskaya Industry round 1.
It's a good completion because you have time left on the clock, so no matter what happens, they're going to get another attack for the bike wrecks. That was the most crucial part of this, so 26 seconds left. That 26 seconds is so vital. If they finish in overtime, you don't get that extra attack. And now there's pressure on Inevitable to finish with a good time bank, too. You know, this is... We saw here for the bike racks, it wasn't that easy for them to take both of these points. It can be said that it'll probably be similar for the side of Inevitable. We'll see what they decide to come out with. But for the bike racks, you still have a win condition alive. And I loved how they did that last attack too, Rich, where they had players push up from the front and then that Diva Bomb come from the side, funneling those players in an area where you could throw the bomb.
And now also the one thing to note as well, and I'm curious to see if you've heard about it as well, a lot of people have been discussing the Baptiste here because the amplification matrix is partially broken and only using 50% of its effectiveness because the current patch has it only boosting damage versus the healing as well. So it's interesting to see Sturtlefish wanting to still stick onto this because of that loss of effectiveness. The damage is still very important, and the healing, especially with the increased ammunition, but losing that little bit might be somewhat detrimental to the character itself at the moment.
Yeah, it is a really bizarre thing that you do, but you also have to be very... The way we've been seeing it used by Turtlefish is that they've been positioning it in a way where it's more being used as an offensive tool anyway. So you're not maybe getting the value out of it as much, and you can still heal a ton with Baptiste, even with that change, and you can still throw out a lot of damage too. It's such a good hybrid sort of support player that you can play. It's not quite like Brigitte, but it is still something that you can do and poke real well with.
Very correct, as they're now going to start moving forward. Tank trying to lead the way, looking to bypass that shield very quickly. Hook immediately as Tank is going to go down on Inevitable. They are going to have to play this back very quickly to make sure that they don't lose any more members and give Molt some ult charge as well.
I don't know if maybe Tank just wasn't ready for that because it didn't see a barrier down and maybe just thought just kept walking, and it sort of ended up working as a trap. And oh, another nice hook, almost grabbing Gilgamesh, but Gilgamesh staying alive is important.
And you see Zovius getting that critical pick. Now the pin in the backside. Kyoto will get rezzed, but it's now an even exchange. My goodness, never mind. Going in favor of the bike racks. That res was so critical by Siren before the death, but it's just this back and forth exchange consistently by these teams as they're going to try and capitalize on this point now.
the longer this takes, the more that it goes to the offensive side because they do have the spawn advantage. So even though you had that little bit of an advantage gained by the bike racks, they just didn't finish it off well enough to really snowball it into something and keep their hold. So now they're going to have to really pin all their hopes on their second defense hold. They do have some good ultimates coming up defensively, but there's also about to be the Dragon Blade up, which can wipe your team so easily, especially if you don't have much CC. And if you look, really the only CC they have, they got a little bit, actually, because they got the hook, and then they've also got the halt, and they've got the McCree flash. So paying attention to when those cooldowns are down is going to be something that's important for Flash.
And Funk Frog really going to try and play that back high ground, making sure that they can get vision. Nice early pick here by Kong, taking out Zovius, who's been very pivotal to this as they push forward with the damage. Swampy trying to lead the way, though, with that Coalescence. Does get a pick in the backside. Gilgamesh managing to take out Funk Frog, so they cannot use that Deadeye to their advantage. But Turtlefish is going to force that Amplification Matrix and Supercharger by Kyoto as well, Lavasco.
It's a lot of damage that can be output when you combine those two together. The Amplification Matrix wasn't perfectly positioned, and they probably could have gotten away with only one of them, Rich, so you do end up wasting an ult, and when you have an ult advantage now like Inevitable does, this is really good. You really only have the one defensive ult of any kind, and it's not much of one either that the Mercy has, too.
Seeing them at least have one support. That's critical. And again, with it being specifically trying to hold and survive on this point, they're going to need to very much hyper-focus Siren on the backside as now the Dragon Blade comes out. Here comes that Nano Boost getting the double. The Immortality Field is there to try and keep a few alive, but now they get that follow-up. Flash Hyper doing a stellar job as that now Deadeye comes out to hopefully clear the last few members off the point. This might be an opportunity for them to complete it, but Bike Racks might just have enough time to get a few members. They will look to try and ingress onto the point, but here we go. You'll see Inevitable most likely look to clean this up as they just try to stagger.
Yeah, not going so well for them so far. Oh, nice pin, too, by Tank. They got the stall tactics starting to come out, though, and they've got to really be successful with it and find a target. If they can get a kill here, oh, it's not going well.
And they'll complete it with a decent time bank still remaining.
They have a really good time bank for the side of Inevitable. I think that losing out on, you know, the amplification or the supercharger was one thing that hurt, but more than anything, the flashbang missed on the Genji dashing in from above.
Yes.
And that's sort of what caused everything to happen. You get the 2 or 3K with that blade, your blade has done all of the value that it's needed to snowball that point.
And you also saw the Immortality Field come out, but just because of that split-second dash in Slash, they got the 2 kills just before it could really take effect on the rest of the team. And because there was so much aggression looking to hyper-focus it on the high ground, then you saw now the reposition from Turtlefish to try and dash out of the way and just quickly maneuver away from the blade. But at that point, there was, like you said, too much damage already done. As we see the Bike Racks now with 1 minute to work with on this attack, while Inevitable has over 4 minutes. So like you said, a very good time bank going into this.
Yes, an extremely good time bank. You still have a minute on the other side, but the attack here that the Bike Racks have are really going to be the biggest determining factor, because what sort of win condition do you set for yourself, if any, or do you end up having to draw on this map? That's the key for them. They have to have a composition. You should expect similar to what you saw last time from Inevitable, so you have to think of a composition that's going to be able to burst down some of their targets. They've got the comp that they ended up winning their fights with as what they're going to start off with here with Cog on that Doomfist, so this could be something that's really good for Bike Racks.
Seeing to play high overhead, Funk Frog looking for some potential damage with the boost here by that Pharmacy comp as Kong wants to find some value, goes over the top, maybe find a connect, but will not be able to do so. But they're still going to dive in on this. Greynarl doing a great job with the Winston to get some harass. Yoshi finding a pick, though, on this Ana, which is actually very critical, and Zovius now looking to clean up. So that's probably going to be enough here to force the team of Bike Racks back. But again, they don't really have a choice. 25 seconds to go. They at least get an exchange here with Kyoto on the Reinhardt taking out Tank. They have just a few seconds to go, maybe have a chance to do it, but this is going to be desperation.
Oh, if they would have gotten back together, they could have had a chance, though, because they took out Tank. This was their opportunity, but now they're just sort of staggering in, Rich, and they're giving this point pretty much over to the side of Inevitable.
And they will not be able to touch it in time, as now we're going to go into the next round where you will have to see quite a defensive position here by the Bike Racks to prevent this team of Inevitable from claiming that first 33%.
And you might as well go bunker here. Bunker, baby, bunker. Just do it. Give it a shot. It's not the like I said. There's still some really good positioning that you can play this bunker on. There's a lot of high ground where the point is. You just have to make sure that you'll have somebody who can go down and contest the point while your bunker's above. But the big thing there, though, was there was an opportunity for the bike racks. Tank went super aggro charge back towards the spawn of the attacking team, and bike racks and then ended up dying, but everybody was trying to push forward. They had enough time to get back together and then push as a unit, and with no tank there to really stand in the way, they could have snowballed that and maybe turned that into a winning fight.
4 minutes and 20. I just got to say it again. It's such a tall order here. And for whatever reason, when you said that, it made me think of Rubber Baby Bunky Bumpers, but we'll change it to Rubber Baby Bunker Bumpers. I have no idea. We'll change that around. Literally kept sticking to my head. Might as well have said it. As we now look to see on the defensive side, they're not going to actually go with the bunker comp. They're going to stick with this Cog, Funk Frog, Doomfist Pharah play. So we'll see how they're going to be able to hold off against this, as it's probably going to be mirroring the same comp that we had last time by Inevitable on the defensive side.
Yeah, same thing we saw. Well, same thing we saw from them on the attacking side. So
Correct,
they've got the Genji again. So, but I mean, still some of the similar elements as to what they had when they were defending. So this could be something that they can really push well with. They did last time.
They had some nice shield rotations here on the front, having to force Tank back. There's the Immortality Field, but now getting a pin in the back with a beautiful shield to survive through it. They at least take out the Immortality Field, and this will be a swift collapse with Tank getting a double on the Fire Strike, and this might just be an easy pick for them with so much time to work with. They will get the picks necessary as Xovius claims the final Funk Frog kill. Say that 10 times fast, as they will look to claim Volskaya Industries, as that's the first time we've seen it through the tournament.
So maybe Bunker Baby Rubber Bunkers is what you could call it. I was just thinking about that. But
Rubber Bunker Baby Bunker
Bumpers?
Rubber Baby Bunker Bumpers. I have no idea. Let's just leave it at that. But as we do see here again, 3 minutes and 45 seconds, managing to claim it in under a minute with their team comp, as we will look to that third map now, which is going to be an escort. As it will look now, this is where I'm so gonna dare to say it. The Rubber Baby Bunker Bumpers could come out by the bike racks. As there's another B in bike racks. I just don't. I'm done. So many B's. It's the bike racks, rubber bumpy. Done. As we will look to see, what map do you think will benefit them most here? As this is gonna be that point in the match that they're gonna have to look for a reverse sweep.
well, they don't seem to want to run a bunker of any kind, so stay away from bunker maps.
Did you just say?
I think you
bunker?
go. I go.
You're getting. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm having a moment. Take two.
Stay away from Junkertown. You don't want to run. You don't want to see bunker composition, so you stay away from Junkertown. I would say stay away from. I would say Watch Point is maybe the best map, because that's where I think Doomfist can get the most value, and that's clearly one of the champions that they really heroes that they really want played effectively on the map. So give your Doomfist more opportunities to use that rocket punch in tighter corridors, and that's something that Watch Point provides. You'd say Route 66 as well, especially at the end, is something that does that as well. But I think Junkertown is a little bit more open than some of the other maps. And sure, there are certain points where it does enclose, but compared to Watch Point, I think it's maybe the one that they decide to go to. But again, that's if they stay with the same composition they've been running up until this point, is the most important part, Rich. So they decide that they're going to throw a bunker out there. Why not go to Junkertown? You know, that's a place where you can run bunker, especially an offensive bunker right on the point that you're trying to push.
Well, regardless of the bumper bunker, we're going to see the Watch Point Gibraltar And you hit the nail on the head. And like I said, with Cog being so known for the Doomfist play, I would be not surprised to see it consistent with Funk Frog trying to manage the skies here and utilize that environmental, enclosure to really find value on the engage potential. So I'm curious to see, and it looks like we will keep them, I believe, on the same side. So it will be
Looks like,
inevitable. Yeah, on the left is blue team with the bike racks. On the right is red team. As it looks like we're getting our last yes and hurrahs coming out. And for those of you that might just be missing it, they're all looking to say, let's go to Jub, Wub, Wub. They're having just as much fun with their what is it? Not a rhyming. I'm totally just what's the term for where you say like where they're all the same letters? Rubber baby buggy bumpers. Those. Wait. What are those called? Oh, it's gonna bug me now.
Wait. What are rubber baby? Wait.
It's
what?
like it's the thing where like you say all the same letters, and I can't think of what that means. What it is? It's like where it's like she sold seashells down with a seashore.
A
Tongue twister? Yeah, tongue twister. But there's is it alliteration? Maybe it's alliteration. I don't know. We have English majors out there that probably know, that are laughing at us at this 3-minute delay, as we will now go into Watch Point Gibraltar with the bike racks on the attack.
Potato Head says it's alliteration. So
alliteration. Yes. I was gonna say somebody knows. Somebody knows. Somebody will always let me know.
That's there you go. So we learned something today. Who said it can't be educational?
I know.
Watching Overwatch.
I mean, come on. It's almost just as informative as vocabulary word toilet paper, which I swear I don't have. I really don't, but that would be awesome if I did, because I would definitely have a wider array of vocabulary. As you see now, Yoshi on the Junkrat. This is going to be interesting.
Junkrat did get buffed a little bit too. Don't forget about that. Had the quicker, he has a little bit quicker of his pipe bombs now. They travel a little bit faster is one of the changes that has come through for Junk, and along with a couple of other things to maybe make him a little bit more viable. So this is not a bad choice from Yoshi. We've seen Yoshi kind of play a little bit of everything. They're going with this composition too. They have one healer, is one thing to point out. So this is very damage heavy, but not very heavy on the healing. Sure, you have the, well, goodbye to Yoshi.
Deleted!
That was, yeah, exactly.
As they're now going to get the res, so Swampy doing a great job keeping some assistance. Their tank now having to flee immediately from Cog on the Doomfist, as this payload now starts to get some movement forward.
They did lose their D.Va, though, is the only thing, so you'll lose a little bit of your utility. That was one of the nerfs as well, something to not forget. There was that massive change, and that's one reason why you want your D.Va with your Winston, because, you can stop those Pharah rockets.
Now as they look on the low ground, Cog trying to find those health packs in the back to really get a nice flanker on the low ground. They might actually be in a good position on the side of the bike racks to collapse into this corridor, but now you're seeing them immediately turn it back around. Both Gilg and Flash finding some great damage onto these stragglers, looking now to just get that last final kill onto Kyoto. And they're going to have to reset with 3 minutes to go.
Swampy did some magic there, rezzing in a spot that she probably shouldn't have. That's showing her witch abilities off on the Mercy, because like you're rezzing right on the wrong side of the car wash where you can really easily get picked off. But she was really smart to know, though, that there was really nobody around who could stop her. So very good awareness from Swampy to do that, and that helps get the win, because Gilgamesh shooting into that car wash, I mean, everybody's gonna die.
I swear we heard when Godrium Rezio saw for that one. I just have to say, as now Tank forces out the primal range in the back, as we are going to get, ooh, there was some nice little lag spike. Let's now get back underway, as you do see the Deadeye coming out by Zovius, claiming some value on that opposite position onto Funk Frog. Looking now as the self-destruct comes through. Can they get some picks? Does get the high ground position from Swampy as they stagger another. But still, this fight just really going back and forth. They are in quite a skirmish here.
Yeah, they have players kind of all around the map. They're starting to reconvene back together. Oh, Cog died. And now their D.Va lost Smack. Oh, no. Yoshi on this Symmetra's ridiculous.
What an interesting play. We are just seeing some shenanigans by Yoshi saying, well, I've played support. Let me just have some fun, friends, and leave it all on the shoulders of Swampy.
I know Yoshi. Yoshi was going to get... That was coming. Standing still for that long, listen, that's going to happen. You have to see that one coming.
Forcing the photon barrier now between these two teams as they will get a retreat. Tank still getting very low, displaced in the backside. Does manage to jump away. Cog picking out Yoshi once again as they are going to now look to try and take advantage of this numbers potential, but the Deadeye coming out by Funk Frog. Nobody in sight lines. They're like, oh, but gets Tank right at the end. Tank was like, no.
Nothing that Tank could do. I mean, you can jump as far as you want, but you're gonna die. Oh, this alt is not getting... Oh, wait, Funk, how did you get spotted out? You could have just stayed behind the shield.
As Kyoto gonna get D-maxed, but they've already been able to gain a lot of value on this push. They will reach this checkpoint. You see Tank looking to try and get some visual on where their positioning is, so they'll now look to try and claim the high ground there to just reset as they move into this, I don't know, shipyard? Garage?
Ship Bay.
Ship Bay. Yes, there it is. Having a lot of fun with words today.
Listen, we have like 2 brain cells between us, but that's enough, Rich. That's enough.
I mean, you have like 1.5, and I'm like the halvesies, kind of. Rocket still raining overhead though by Cog as they air shot to the face on Flash Hyper as Funk Frog manages to get Gilgamesh. You see Tank looking to get some damage with that Tesla cannon, and Yoshi also gaining 1 onto Kyoto. The Deadeyes might just no, only gaining 1. Focusing Funk Frog, looking for it as they're gonna get the Earth Shatter here, Lobosco.
They have to just continue to get value off of it. The Coalescence really helping them out here. So Turtlefish, oh, that's, you know, Moira's not really a turtle or a sexy turtle because she's not a turtle, so... But sure, a lot of value out of that Coalescence is the one thing for sure. And now, you know, you deal with the Winston on. That's pretty good. That was the hardest part for their composition to work, Rich, for the bike racks, is where that ship bay is, because you have that ship right in the middle. Now you're back to open skies for Cog on the Farah. This is really, could be a really good time for them.
And they're going to have 3 minutes and 25 seconds. We'll see now. It looks like a nice staggered pick here onto Zovius as they try and move forward. You see Turtlefish here looking to generate that ultimate quickly on the Moira, so they have some aggression with it. Ooh, Gilgamesh almost getting taken out of the sky as the Rocket Barrage will rain. Cog hyper focusing on it as Funk Frog will have the Deadeye to claim 1. Widow contest by Flash. They're going to have to look to regroup here. They don't want to overextend. They want to play this safe. They have a chance to keep this push.
Yeah, they're going to have to regroup, though. They don't have the presence on the point. You don't have your main tank back yet, and you don't have enough healing there either. This should just be a point where they sort of back up and try and get back as 6. They're about to be back as 6 now, so now they can start aggressing forward again, but you do have to be careful with that high ground pressure coming from the back from Flash Hyper, who also is getting a little bit of a damage boost there, too.
And you see Kong just continuing to harass in the backside, doing a really great job at forcing them. They have the teleporter for a flank by Yoshi, who's getting a lot of damage. Nice stun onto Tank with the pin follow-up as they are getting so very close to getting rid of that hamster. Finally finding an execution onto Flash as well with the Widowmaker. But the res comes out. Swampy just playing it so well with these reses in the backside, finding value out of it as they're not going to get to these critical last few meters here with 2 minutes to go.
The only problem is they haven't stopped the cart. They've got to get on the cart. They don't have much point presence, and then they've got but Zovius from behind with the Deadeye can help really start to even that out, but they're losing on the carts.
Earth Shatter to come out, managing to stop Tank from moving. Kong with the Rocket Barrage does get mitigated here. Flash Hyper getting the kill as Yoshi looks to try and just knock them away from it as that Deadeye now comes out from Funk Frog wanting to get Flash! Oh, right to the face! Before that dash comes out, here is the follow-up onto now Baby Diva from Yoshi, as this is just going to be a consistent fight as they are trying to get enough damage to stop this respawn.
They just got to pick one target and focus it down for this side of the bike racks. They have such a good advantage.
Now with that self-destruct, can they secure it, making sure to force them back, and they will complete this map of round 1.
You're just seeing the one thing, and I'm going to harp on it again for the bike racks, is they just kind of get, especially in the heat of a team fight, they kind of start to not pay attention to the same targets, and that actually ends up causing them to lose some time. If they focus down those targets together, I mean, they would have won that map with probably an extra 30 seconds, perhaps, maybe even 40, Rich. But, you know, minute 17 is still very respectable on Watchpoint Gibraltar. It's a very long map, so you still have to be very happy with this if you are the bike racks. Defensively, though, this is where the big question comes in for them, though. They've been kind of rolled on the defenses that they've been able to put forward up until this point. So if you've got something that you're hiding in the back pocket, this is probably the map to do it on, especially when you consider that this is technically match point, I believe, even for the third place game.
It really is, and they are going to have to do everything possible as we just look to see if there's going to be any drastic changes here on the defensive side by the bike racks to secure it. They're, of course, going to have that Orisa-type bunker with the Bastion. Not surprised at all. We've seen it come out by FunkFrog where there's some great utilization of that bunker position. But Flash Hyper hovering over that Widowmaker again, feeling that they're going to see Kong on the Pharah, which we've seen a lot, or the Doomfist. So it's a hit or miss there, 50-50, as we've got a few seconds before they come out these doorways. And one of the biggest things I think that's just really going to be important is how they play this drop down with Kyoto to harass and maybe keep them from moving this payload forward as they get the Bastion damage coming out.
I'm super curious to see who Saichi Siren's going to focus on with the healing and the pocketing, because you have the Bastion you can pocket, but you also have Cog, who, you know, is kind of going to be on an island otherwise. So you just kind of have to be careful with that. You know, as much as nice as it is to boost that damage from the Bastion, you do need to make sure that you're also taking care of your Fair in the Sky.
And you see both Xovius and Gilgamesh just raining so much damage. They get an early pick on the side of Inevitable, which is very good, but they just keep breaking this barrier so quickly by the side of bike racks that this Bastion is just having to constantly rotate backwards.
But this is okay, because this is actually not a bad spot to set your Bastion up. If you can keep that cart down below, and I've been calling it car wash, it's also called underpass, for those who don't know. A car wash is something it used to be called a very long time ago. Sorry, I'm old. I can't help it. Regardless,
Good.
It's a good area to try and do that. But a pin like that can open everything up.
Taking out Siren is very critical, but they're still responding very well. Turtlefish getting a clutch Immortality field to keep the team alive, regardless of that staggered pick onto Siren. Nice assistance here, allowing them to get back into the fight. Yoshi going to be halted immediately back on this Lucio. No longer going to try and risk that solo support as they try and push forward. And we'll reset them here.
Oh, they used the amplification matrix there. They probably didn't have to put that down. It was a little quick from Turtle to put that one. Who is a turtle? She just wants us all to know that. So Turtle's a turtle. A very sexy turtle, apparently. Regardless. The Bastion with the amplification matrix is a lot of damage that you're missing out on by not having it come out when there's players there. But FunkFrog has done a great job of keeping their team in this one, though, is the good thing. So you're still in a position to really make this work. So even though you lost your Mercy, you still had plenty of healing coming out from Turtle.
Ooh, nice pick by Xovius, getting Kong out of the sky. That we will not have that Pharah v Pharah. And now the ultimates are stacking up in favor of Inevitable here. They're hoping to get some on their own side of the bike racks as they look to try and collapse now from this high ground.
I don't know where FunkFrog is going. You got to stay with your oh, but there's the MP. Maybe that's why FunkFrog was moving.
And you now see the High Noon Earth Shatter. Lots of ultimate self-destruct. Only going to gain one as the Deadeye looks now, but the return coming out by FunkFrog. Trying to find that tank configuration value. Does get hacked, but still can unload a lot of damage. No repair available. Can they withstand the fight? And the res coming up by Siren. What a ballsy play right towards the end of that. Manages to get them back online and shut down this push with 1 minute and 20 seconds to go.
That's incredible that was able to get off. I thought Tank was going to shut it down with the hammer, and I guess he just missed because you had the Mercy within range. I thought that the Mercy was just going to get splattered on the ground. But that could be what changes this and gives the win over to the bike racks and extends our match here.
They want that reverse sweep. The bike racks definitely want to prove me wrong that they will continuously ruin my life, as it's now 50 seconds still to go. Trying to get into that backline. Siren doing a great job using that pillar to their advantages. This is going to be the last fight with Yoshi trying to lead the way with a Transcendence.
Just trying to get his team to be aggressive. It's working so far, but they're trading out their
decent amount with the rocket barrage. Oh, but Yoshi gets the double. The damage is real. Still consistently pressuring in the back. Cog, unbelievable job on this Pharah, managing to get so much value with only 20 seconds to go.
I like Yoshi's plan there, but it was a little bit early to press the Q button. You didn't have that many players with you, so you don't really get the healing out of it that you necessarily would have gotten. And now you're super behind as far as just your positioning and the ultimates, and you're going to get that Bastion back in a spot. It's going to make it so tough.
Supercharger for the extra damage. Zovius in the back line, though, but does get flanked by Kog, coming in to get that kill early before it claims and he kills in the backside, as you saw the aggression from Inevitable, but they're finding some return. Siren to get that Bastion back online. Funk Frog having to play very carefully as the hack does come out. No repair. They might be able to do it in the overtime. Rocket Barrage by Kog will be shut down by the Sombra on Hyper, as they will reach it in overtime.
The hero there is definitely Flash Hyper on the Sombra, because before the Bastion could get into a position, the hack came through, killed the Bastion, the res came in, but then immediately Flash Hyper's there to hack again. That keeps this round going for Inevitable and gives them a chance to still make this match point. They still have to push through, though, here. This is still not going to be an easy thing for them to do. You don't have the Bastion anymore, but the McCree is still a good choice. We already talked a lot about how much damage McCree does now with that recent buff.
And you see now some backline aggression coming out by Zovius on the Tracer. Have not yet really seen this play. Kog gonna find some value early between that dash as Yoshi almost gets picked off as well. Self-destruct going to gain 2 onto both Swampy and Tank. So they will be able to force them back, and now they're getting into potentially last fight territory as they're gonna wait for a regroup here.
I didn't see if that was because it was a flashbang that came out from Funk Frog, or if it was just because the shield wasn't up yet for Tank, but I think that was a flashbang from Funk Frog, so very good timing to make that work.
And we've seen it happen several times, Funk Frog knowing where to place it just above the shield to prevent it from having any sort of protection for the team, as they will have to look to retreat here, as the shield does continuously be refreshed by that side by Grey Gnarl.
No doubt. So you look here at the ultimates too. Tank going down. Oh, this is good for the defense here. So even though they had some winning, this is perfect for the defense.
Oh, the EMP self-destruct will not be able to claim as much value as they have Zovius with the Pulse Bomb at least taking out Funk Frog. Here is the snowball that they wanted from that type of engage. Gilgamesh just trying to get some additional pressure, gains the double onto both supports. And this will most likely be another opportunity for them. They are coming in right at the tail end of each one of these fights with only a sliver of time remaining to really keep them on this momentum train.
I was trying to see where his self-destruct went, because I thought that was just going to win the team fight outright, but I guess it was just the positioning. This is a good try in the stall, but they're throwing so much into it.
And they're losing a lot of opportunity just because they're going to give a ton of ultimate charges. They have the Valkyrie Force, the Amplification Matrix. They want to end this here and now, as they still have the Deadeye Earth Shatter to come out. Pulse Bomb to follow, with Tank now looking for the pin. Manages to get Kyoto out of the mech as Zovius cleans up Siren with now 1 minute and 35 seconds. And this is where it's going to be even worse. They have the respawn now coming out too far forward. They're going to get staggered and lose even more ultimate economy, as they have now another advantage.
And this is the only reason why I wasn't so sure about them trying for that defense there, because you were going to be staggered regardless. But not only that, it just, you didn't have all 6 together to really push out through, or at least close to having 6. So, you know, losing 2 members like that, they get caught again. You give a lot of early cart space. You're still going to have the better time bank for the bike racks, even if this does get completed by Inevitable. But you could have been in an even better spot.
EMP self-destruct, beautiful combination, trying to return it as they have a double kill by Gilgamesh. Tank to follow up. They are doing a stellar job here to try and just turn this back around, as they are reaching the tail end of this and want to reach that finishing point.
They also had a massive stagger. It's all about stalling, focusing targets down, staying together as a team.
And they now get some aggression. Here comes the flank in the back, though. Kog doing everything imaginable on this DPS, but will be outplayed there. Pulse Bomb going to come out to secure the D-Mech, even though the Supercharger is there for extra damage. I don't think they'll have enough, as they're just going to, like you said, look to just stagger it out as best as they can here.
They're at least killing off time on the clock is a good thing, giving themselves as much of an advantage as possible going into this last fight. If Kog can find 1 or 2 here, that could be enough, but he ends up getting taken out no problem. So one thing there, Kog's got to go for a squishy target. I saw him trying to push tank out of the way sometimes with this right click. Just go for the the lower percentage but higher probability of you winning if you get it play.
The other thing, too, that really helped them at the tail end of it was the patience by Yoshi to not use that sound barrier earlier. The fact that they had it was able to withstand a lot of incoming damage by not only Cog, but the remaining stagger to sustain through it.
Yes.
So they had a really good chance there to turn it around, but because of that timing from the support, it was very well done. And as it looks, we're going to have a minute now for the side of Inevitable. They will be attacking again because they have the lower time bank with 2 minutes and 7 seconds on the side of the Bike Racks, and they have a good opportunity to now start turning this back into their favor.
The important thing here to consider when we think back to both of these teams' first attacks, Rich, is the first attack point for the side of the Bike Racks as far as their attack was better and their defense on first point was better. So it looks like they're not going to go with the Bastion again. I think they're maybe expecting the Sombra is why. So they're going to go instead over to Kyoto onto the Brigitte. So we do get to see Brigitte play here as well. They're going to keep the Ariso. This is not a bad composition to kind of come through. You've got multiple angles of attack. I'm a little surprised. So they're going to go triple support, though. So, you know, triple support is still something really strong.
They have the survivability, and I think that's really what they're looking for. They're relying solely on the damage to come out by Funk Frog and Cog, and there's a lot riding on the shoulders of Grey Gnarl here to make sure that they are in a good position, refreshing that shield to survive through it. And again, with the triple support, they're in a good spot to do so.
They still have to be careful. Zovius is going to throw out so much damage on the Bastion. So this Bastion, you've got to collapse onto it and stop the cart. You know, a Sombra of their own might not be a bad decision for them to do. Oh no, Turtle is caught out.
But the res, they managed to get them back online. Great assistance here by Psyche Siren to keep her fellow support alive. Of the three, Cog gonna get hacked, though. Now they have the collapse. They're trying to get close. They got the pick, having to force the res here onto Zovius. They cannot risk not having the Bastion on this push potential as they start to now continue to push it into their favor. You see them pushing on. Inevitable in a good spot as they get another pick in the backside onto Funk Frog. And this payload, even though it's gonna go into the overtime, this is where they are just trying to gain as much as possible, because once they step off of it, they will not be able to move it any further.
And they're not going to have to worry about that. The Bastion is just so dead set and planted on that cart. They have to make some really intelligent swaps, though, on the side of the Bike Racks to try and stop this. General going over to the Reinhardt, not a bad choice because you can pin from the high ground off and get that Bastion potentially as one of the things. You do have tank mode coming up, though, is the only problem.
Yoshi also having that amplification matrix, Earth Shatter now, also just so much on the side of Inevitable. They could just snowball the rest of this. But the EMP looking to see if they can continue this, as they will force the Rocket Barrage by Cog, gaining a double. But I think it's just going to be too little too late, because that EMP caused so much problem for the side of the Bike Racks as they managed to get the res at least onto Turtlefish, keeping these supports alive. So low health for the Inevitable, but they keep Swampy alive in the back and hold on to the Valkyrie here.
It's an important ultimate to hold on to when you're pushing it through onto this third point. You've got to try and get back together. You got that Bastion off, at least for the moment, but you're still not in the best position. Actually, I think they've switched off. Zovius has gone over to the Tracer.
Now having the Deadeye trying to get an opportunity to knock them up just over the shield. Might get some vantage, but not going to be able to do so. Zovius getting the Tracer pick onto Funk Frog as Cog has to play so carefully. Does get the combo. Can they get the execution? Looking to chase immediately on the backside, but the 1v1 will not go into either's favor as they will look to try and retreat and regroup, as this is going to be, again, the last chance for the Bike Racks to stop this push.
They have to get back together. They got to wait for their main tank. You know, I know you want to try and stop this card as soon as possible, but you have to get back together as 6. That's what gives you the best chance. You don't want to go in quickly and try and make a hero play and then give your team a disadvantage.
Cog barely diverting out of the way. They at least managed to get that Immortality Field. Amplification Matrix now on the side by Yoshi, but the EMP again. This might just be that consistent momentum as you look to see them flank in the backside. Now getting the EMP on the return side coming out by Flash. Just will look to maybe start to move them away from the payload, and they have the respawn advantage on the side of the Bike Rack. Siren again, risky res, manages to do so. Here comes the pin, just still inside the Immortality Field, but the numbers are coming in finally in favor of the Bike Racks as they just have to get the last couple off the point as it finally wicks away. Not completing round 3, but a huge distance gained.
That's such a big distance on the time bank that they had, that the confidence that has to be on the side of Inevitable right now is the fact that they are going to take this bronze medal game. That has to be what they're thinking right now. But for the Bike Racks, you have to think about matching this. You have to try doing something off the wall. Yeah, you have to expect maybe the Sombra's coming back. They might be expecting a Bastion to come out from your end. So expect Sombra almost in. And honestly, playing Sombra here, if you're inevitable, makes a lot of sense, Rich, because EMP is a win condition that easily can win you this fight, especially when teams have to just stay on the cart. That's eventually going to happen. It takes more than 2 minutes to get to where that golden box of victory is.
It really is crippling with the EMP, a huge win condition, especially when you're going to potentially start reaching into that overtime. The reason why Inevitable had such a great opportunity is because they rotated between the significant ultimates there to get that EMP back online. They used it in one major push point. Then they used now the Earth Shatter to try and claim another, keeping the Immortality Field to survive, and then rotating it again towards the end to consistently gain this push. And that ultimate rotation really gave them so much just opportunity to push this payload that hopefully Bike Racks can do the same thing here, as you see Cog now going to demonstrate the Sombra play themselves.
And just the resources that were needed too for Bike Racks, they just never built them up fast enough with the compositions that they had. So this wasn't quite enough. Flash Hyper here already just kind of harassing from behind and already building up 20% to that EMP. So that's a really good start. 30% on just kind of an initial push is pretty good. Oh, goodbye, Yoshi.
Not what they want. They cannot afford to lose their tank like that as they get another pick onto Flash. Gilgamesh at least able to gain one onto Siren, which is very important, but Cog going to look for some even more harass on the high ground to generate their own EMP and forced away.
This isn't good, though. Like, this is perfect if you're Bike Racks, because you're still just moving this cart for free with 3 people on. They can't really stop you.
And you also see the stagger now. You see Xovius a little bit further away. If they can get the caught out, with Cog now looking very quickly, trying to get the pick. Looks for the potential hack, but no, not even going to need to worry about it as they reach this checkpoint with still 1 minute and 15 seconds to go. They're doing a great job here on this push.
Yeah, they are just flying through. I mean, the Bastion, a little bit unprotected right now, but that's because they're just trying to deal with players who got caught behind. You do know that Cog is getting up to his EMP, but so is Flash Hyper, outpacing right now. There's still 60 seconds left. If you can get that EMP out before the overtime, that's the most ideal thing that can happen.
Looking for that flank again, the harass in the back by Cog, consistently trying to keep them around the corner as the displacement is almost available with the translocator, but Funk now reaching that tank configuration, going to use it, looking for now the EMP to come out, still has the auto attacks. High Noon as well, getting the quad by Xovius! The flank is there, 5-player kill streak, finding so much value on that bridgeway. But now they are going to instantly swap. They have to switch to mobility characters as they have 20 seconds to go, with Cog having the EMP.
They still have the advantage, though. They used everything there for Inevitable just to win that fight. You have an EMP that is your win condition. You have to use this as soon as you see your opportunity, and you have to get... Oh, Cog's behind! They don't even know!
But they're going to lose the chance now. They're losing a few members. They have to now try and regroup onto this. The EMP, like you said, is very available, but the overtime will not stop as it's finally coming out. Cog playing very carefully. They have to stick near this payload as Tank gets super low. Can they get the extra damage? Cog, sound barrier now coming out by Yoshi. Correction, Gilgamesh on the side of Inevitable as they are looking to regroup. They got the position. Now they have the close proximity. The charge going to come out by the Earth Shatter by Yoshi to see if they can get the pick on the Cog as Tank manages to get Siren as they continue to ensue. Funk Frog gaining 2, though, on Xovius and Swampy. The numbers exchange. Greynarl managing to get Gilgamesh as Kyoto gets another. Might just be the chance that they can move it even further.
They got to make sure they stay together. They've got to keep together. There's still 1 win condition alive for the side of Inevitable. It's all onto the EMP here for Flash Hyper. They got some players making switches here for Inevitable is the one good thing, too. So that's more resets here. But again, Xovius is about to get Deadeye, too. Deadeye EMP could be the winner.
Less than 20 meters now to go. They are wanting to reach this point as you see the patience coming out from Inevitable. Yes, they do get a pick, though, onto Xovius. They might have it. EMP in the back. Can they reply? It will be the self-destruct. Gaining 1. Does get Flash Hyper. They have the advantage, but now they look to use the respawn. Trying to tuck away in the backside. Yoshi on the front, getting it overwhelmed on the front side by Greynarl as they continue to push back, having the Earth Shatter of their own coming up in just a close proximity. The High Noon, the shield, the stun in return. They got it. Funk Frog claiming 2 on the Farah, just under 2 meters. They want to reach it. Flash Hyper now on the Doom, and they'll do it! Bike Racks managing to gain the claim victory on Watchpoint Gibraltar to stay in this bronze placement match.
Xovius dying when he did was one of the things that ended up losing this for the side of Inevitable, because you didn't have that to pair with the EMP anymore, Rich. So the EMP comes out, there's really not much follow-up, and then you also had a good Earth Shatter, but again, no follow-up available because Xovius came back and just popped it instantly, didn't realize that the Earth Shatter was going to be available to win them that fight, because if they used Earth Shatter and that Deadeye, they would have won this, and they would have won 3-0. So good job by the Bike Racks to really live through all of those ultimates and get the stagger kills to even give them the opportunity.
I mean, I just have to say it. They are on the edge of their seat and throwing their hands in the air as we are now going to select this hybrid map, Kings Row, New Bonnie, or Hollywood. So we are going to find out what Inevitable feels comfortable with, and what a stellar play towards the end of it. Just those minor slip-ups can really cause a momentum shift, especially when it gets into those overtime moments. Looks like we have some discussion here that it is going to be Kings Row. So now they're looking to select the side. And with moving forward, I'm not surprised that Inevitable is going to play Kings Row, because I feel it's a very comfort pick, especially since they play a lot of that Ryan Zarya and really just utilize those high ground positions to try and take the advantage over Bike Racks.
I was thinking about the last time we saw Inevitable prior to this, Rich, too. This was a really good map for them. Even though they lost it, they still played really well, it seemed, on it. They just didn't deal with that composition very well that they saw on the other side. So, yeah, take it back to a map that you know well. Hopefully they won't go through the underpass a billion times into a Bastion like last time. That's my hope. You know, some people called that a curse, but no, you cursed yourselves by going the same way over and over and over and over. So, you know, Mandata is looking down in shame. Don't let Mandata down. That's the important thing if you're Inevitable here. So they still have their match point that they can have. You know, forcing a map 5 is all that should be on the mind of Bike Racks here, is what can we play to best give us this chance?
And I would not be surprised if the Bike Racks played something different than the bunker. I think they're kind of, you know, stepping away from it slightly, and it looks like they may actually potentially have a more dive composition, especially here. And, you know, with it having to be this map on this initial point, that choke point there, I don't think they're going to try and do a slow push with the Bastion or a type of, you know, Orisa shield reposition. And they're going to go to what their strengths are. Greynarl has played a great Winston before, Kyoto a serious D.Va main, and they're going to try and just exploit it using Cog again on the Sombra, which I like that they're keeping him on that versus the Doomfist.
I'm really curious to see if this is what they stay with, especially when they see what's on the other side, because the comp that you're seeing from Inevitable, if you're an Overwatch League fan, a Tier 2 fan, should look very, very, very familiar. Yeah, that's right. It's goats.
Yep. See it all the time. I eat metal. 4 minutes now as you see them look to try and mitigate the damage, and I'm curious of, like you said, how well they're going to play. But the Pharah by FunkFrog could do very well against this goats type of composition.
Especially if they can't deal with FunkFrog in the air very well. This is important for the D.Va to do that, but Greynarl being the first one to go down, who I think I called General once, which I don't know why, but regardless, Greynarl going down in the beginning, but FunkFrog, like you said, this is what you need to have happen from your Pharah.
And they're just continuing to find value, looking for the pick now onto that Lucio play from Xovius, as they are going to try and fall back here. Just looking to stick close, and this is one of those things that we talk about, you know, just that consistent survivability from this GOATS composition. They can just keep one another alive as they do look to regroup. Transcendence in the back going to be forced now by Yoshi as the Rocket Barrage is available, waiting for that time. Now going to unleash it, will get some protection as they do finally get the pick. Yoshi doing a stellar job to respond to that, as they just now throw the grab in the back and don't really know how much more helpful that will be if they can get the extra picks, though.
They did get the D.Va mech, but you're fighting. This is such a weird fight. It's starting to go in the defense's favor just because they have more players right now, but, you know, Cog coming back on the Doomfist can really start to even this back.
And now the damage from FunkFrog again, uncontested on the high ground, getting some stellar shots with the rockets onto these players, looking to just continue harassing and whittling away at these health values as Cog is going to now assist with the displacement. But look at how fast Yoshi is getting these Transcendents. It's unbelievable how quickly they're becoming up for them.
Oh, this self-destruct has to be big.
Ooh, gaining one. Siren at least going to go down, but they are now going to have a return. Will have a shield to block it, but I don't think that's going to be enough. Bike Racks finally persevering through this as they're still going to continue to stagger out by Inevitable.
I mean, Swampy's been doing a good job of just trying to do as much damage to whoever's in the air, but you need to deal with what's on the ground better if you're a GOAT's composition. That's the battle you should be winning, no problem. They're finally turning it around. They did give up a tick, though, and they have switched a little bit off of this GOAT.
A third Transcendence by Yoshi, finally surviving through everything. They lost at least one tick on the side of Inevitable, but wow, that was so much time whittled away with that GOAT's comp.
I wish I could see what Yoshi's like stats are right now, because they have to be insane to build up 3 Transcendences in like a minute and a half. That's ridiculous.
It's like the real Jonak coming in for this RichRad community tournament at the moment, as we still see just over 60 seconds with Funk Frog at least having the rally, but that ultimate economy I still feel in the grand scale of this may go in favor of Inevitable here.
They're starting to get some good ultimates, and they got Yoshi. That's the one person they needed to kill.
For how well it's been going, now the collapse. Here is the Rocket Barrage, and as I say, you will see the bike racks finding that early pick, like you said, onto Yoshi, and just ensuring that nail in the coffin to claim this first point now.
I think that they finally recognize, like, you know, who's the carry, who's carrying them through these fights, and it was Yoshi on this map here of King's Row. So they finally were like, all right, focus down Yoshi first, then we take care of the rest of the team. Pays dividends well, and now they can start through the street space. They did take off a lot of time, though, so not as much time as they would like to work. Oh, Yoshi's dead again already.
And you're now going to see Xovius breaking away from this GOAT's composition, going to have that almost protect the McCree type style with the Graviton coming out. Can they survive through it? They're looking to still have 2 minutes and 40 seconds, a decent amount of time going around the bookstore here, but they're going to have to look to maybe retreat, especially with Cog now being brought down, and stick near that payload.
Smart grab onto the corner, too. It makes it so much harder to heal because you have to try and heal around a corner. So very good grab gives you an advantage, and you're stopping the card at the very least and having them have to reconvene for the bike grabs.
Funkrog still on fire, looking to get right behind. Here's the Rocket Barrage, but does get flashbang, but too much has already been done. There's the double. Self-destruct on the front side will be activated. Does at least get Siren, but they're still going to keep moving on this payload.
Siren just couldn't get away. She's all right with that, I think. I think that the trade is well in their favor, especially because they are about to get to that next checkpoint. They might actually get it before anyone can get back, and I think that you're just seeing everybody get back together for Inevitable, and they're just going to concede this.
Now trying to get a Hanzo by Flash Hyper. They're abandoning that entirely, going now to a 2-2-2 composition, looking for that shield shred as well to make sure that they can get rid of Grey Gnarls, along with just deleting the health value, as they have still a decent amount of ultimates. Turtlefish now gaining her Coalescence, so she'll have that moving on with these nice displacements as well coming out from the Rockets from Funk.
Gilgamesh has switched over to the Zarya, so like that switch of one player playing Zarya to the other, you just lose so much. And you know, Flash Hyper though is carrying them right now on this Hanzo with the 2 picks, where you have to just get back. Oh, and a nice shot from Xovius too. Gosh, that's how you really turn a disadvantage into an advantage.
And I feel like they're really, that was the goal here. They wanted to use the GOATs to run the clock. Now that they're getting towards the tail end of this, they know in these last few instances they have to bump up the damage. They have the respawn advantage, so this switch, and ooh, a nice pick here coming onto Grey Gnarl with that Spectral Arrow, as they have to force a retreat now back onto the payload.
It just seemed their focus as GOATs wasn't good enough. They just did not have everybody on the same target at the same time, and if you're not doing that in GOATs, you're not playing GOATs.
Dragon Strike through the wall, not going to gain any kills, but they do at least get the Storm Arrows to take out Turtlefish to still run the clock. Coalescence activated on the return side from Swampy, as it's the Turtle v Swampy on the Coalescence and the Moira, as this payload still actually is going to get some momentum here.
Yeah. It's okay that Turtle's dead, because you know what? The rest of Swampy's team is dying. So the car can just continue to push forward, and they've still got a minute 49 left. They did use the Coalescence there maybe a little bit too early, but that's okay. You have everybody healed up, and you can push in onto these last few players.
Oh, the boom! The double! Now the High Noon, can they displace it? Still gets Siren, but that is going to be a critical error for positioning, as you see them complete it solely because of that boop.
Yes, that boop is what matters most, because you had an opportunity for that Reinhardt, who got a nano boost, to really go in, wreak havoc, get an Earth Shatter, and turn the fight around. All of that is instantly stopped, because not only did you get that, there was a bonus. Who was it that went in there as well? It was Swampy, who I guess didn't have the shift to try and get away. So Inevitable, the pressure is on now for them. It's really building up, because This is a team that went up 2-0, looked really good, and now they're starting to falter. They give a minute 32 on the clock for the bike racks. They've got to have a strong showing here on their attack.
Yeah, and I'm almost curious to see if the bike racks are going to want to try, you know, the GOATS composition as well, to be just like, anything you can do, I can do better. Or they're going to be just like, I don't want to do any of that, and I'll just do better than you. With the selection here, and as we said, it will be the bike racks now on the defensive side, with Inevitable on the attack. Don't think they'll waver away from what they're comfortable with, so we'll see how they play with Flash Hyper hovering over the Widow. Maybe for that early pick.
That's not a bad thing to do if you're Flash Hyper. I mean, with the sort of style of composition that they're running, it's not necessarily the worst pick either, because you're kind of getting a little bit of burst and range. And, well, now they're showing us dual sniper. So unless, you know, they could switch off of those, you're right. But defensively, we're seeing Pharah and Doomfist. So I don't know what you would call a Doomfist Pharah combo, but
Birdfist?
Birdfist? I like Birdfist. I'm all right with Birdfist. Birdfist is good.
You just see a golden fist on, like, the shoulders of a Bastion bird, and, like, that's what you see.
I like it. I mean, we've got Hack Fist, so why not Bird Fist? It makes sense.
And you're going to now see some decent shots, though, by Flash. Does get Funk Frog forcing out the res early. So that's an opportunity now as you see another sightline almost gaining the kill. And like you said, this is some great value by the Widow play. Ooh, the double.
And I think they were expecting the pharmacy comp in the sky, too. Hitting headshots, if you are like Flash Hyper is, super important and gives your team that early advantage regardless.
And even if they draw attention here to Flash Hyper, you still have so much damage being pumped out by Zovius with those storm arrows that you're going to now see, you know, the Greynar will try and hyper-focus onto the Widowmaker to give that harass. They have Infrasight because of that huge amount of damage pumped out, so they'll know where their positioning is, they'll know where the engage is coming from, and they're in a good spot to move through the streets phase right now.
Yeah, you can create, when you're playing double sniper, you want to create a crossfire or just, you know, continue to hit shots like that, like Frunk Frog.
Ooh!
Just, that counter, though, from Flash Hyper. I don't know if they're going to try and get that res off.
It has been some time to see a Widow v Widow duel, especially seeing it for the first time in this RichRad League, but it is also so amazing to see it when it comes out as you get the now repositioned by Flash, forcing that retreat from the Winston play. Cog going to give some additional assistance here onto the front line to get that placement onto tank back further, as they're going to try and still find some sightlines here by Funk Frog.
And just going on a flank, too, is Flash Hyper, so giving another angle of attack. Well, you have that front line just pushing their way forward, so you have to try and deal with both. That's how you deal with the back line pressure, but now you have to deal with what's coming from up front with that Transcendence.
Looking to heal the rest of the team, moving forward, looking for a res, but Cog manages to still get the Mercy out. Self-destruct just not tucking underneath that shield, which was surprising by the visual, as they look to keep this pressure going, as the Earth Shatter will also look to secure this, Lobosco.
The Earth Shatter may not have been needed, but I think it's okay at this point to make sure that you stop that cart where you're due. They've had so much free push for Inevitable that you needed just to kind of put the icing on the cake there and make sure that you solidify that you're stopping it in Streets. Streets is such an important place to stop the cart on King's Row. So the fact that they do here can pay dividends for them the rest of the way.
And they're going to now force off of the Widow. So Funk Frog, it will be interesting to see how much value they can gain out of it, knowing they need to rotate off of it. The Winston play is real. Graviton going to actually be able to sidestep out of it and still gain some value. The Dragon Strike coming in just a second too late, but they at least get one. That is a critical use of it, as they are still trying to find some sightlines. Primal Rage activated as well, with a good 3 minutes and 30 seconds, as this payload is about halfway through the streets phase and hoping to continue moving forward, but Funk Frog not wavering from this Widowmaker and still finding some decent shots here.
The only problem is that their advantage is starting to go away. Cog, they need, but they got Tank, so there's still a chance for them, and they're still stalling this out too. Cog, if he gets healed back up and gets back, they can win this fight.
The evade is real by Funk Frog. Cog gonna get taken down by Zovius, though, now switching onto the Junkrat. That sheer mayhem with Funk Frog. Ooh! Get another snip onto Flash Hyper, but there is a disconnect, so we will have to pause it, as we will go to a brief moment to allow them to get situated here. But we'll just kind of keep the screen up here as long as we're in the pause, just to kind of talk about, you know, how this is looking. So they switched Zovius now onto the Junkrat. There has been a wheelhouse of characters that Zovius has kind of rotated to try and find some value. With this Junkrat, do you think it's going to allow them some potential to really keep this pressure forward as we wait for that 6th member to come back online? Or do you think it's just kind of one of those picks of where you're just trying something different?
I think it's because it's targeting the cog on the Doomfist. I think that this is, you're talking about very narrow hallways that you're shooting those pipe bombs into. Makes it really difficult for cog to just right click in easily. Has to make sure that he's paying attention, that there's no traps or anything like that. So I think you're just trying to put some pressure onto cog to be a little bit more careful, and maybe forcing more pressure onto Funk Frog to do more. At least it's sort of the way that it kind of feels with what you're seeing from the other end. I mean, I think that's always something you have to consider when you see switches like this, is what is it that they're trying to counter with it, or what are they trying to gain? So also, apparently Kyoto Moto is playing from Australia?
Yes. So there is quite the ping difficulty that he does manage, and still manages well, to be honest.
Yeah, for sure.
And it looks like
that's like playing with your hands handcuffed behind your back and you have a blindfold on almost.
Yes. I'm just gonna agree with that, because I like visually just had a moment of recognizing that that's what's actually happening, and I'm just thinking, wow, that is kind of hard. But as it looks like we are going to get the confirmation, we should be having the confirmation from these teams to start. But yeah, no, that's going to be interesting. We're going to get now, again, that displaces the disconnect. And honestly, with the ult charge, I missed it before the disconnect. I think they'll lose about 40% if I remember from a quick glance. So it's not detrimental, but it's still a decent amount here. Yeah, it's still a decent amount.
And you also have a disadvantage now. You're down one player for a moment while Kyoto Moto gets back in. It's weird that it's always tanks are the ones who play on super high ping, because that Trill did the same thing for Envy, and that shatter from Tank!
And that's just going to secure the push here. It's one of those unfortunate things where you have to play very carefully, especially on a reconnect, not knowing exactly with the times on the ultimates. You step away for a moment, you get cold hands as we get the reconnect, as they're going to now reach this next checkpoint and have 4 minutes to complete the remaining portion of this map.
It's a lot of time to try and push through. I mean, but this is still one of the hardest points to push, so there's still a really good possibility that the bike racks can really at least put a dent into this time bank at the very least. They have some ultimates to work with. Not as many as they would have had because of the DC.
And now the high noon, can they gain value? Does get Funk Frog out of the sky, which is a critical pick. Would have liked to get the pharmacy composition, but couldn't. The res now coming up short. They managed to force them back. They might just have enough here to complete this with a decent time bank. Cog, though, finding some value now with the Meteor Strike with a sliver of health remaining. Does get stunned. The counter with the crowd control onto Cog was absolutely in the favor of Inevitable as they are looking for a charge. They get the pin on the Monkey. Does get almost the kill regardless of the Primal Rage as the Earth Shatter does get unleashed. Riptire in the back coming out by Xovius. Far in the backside does claim one. Looking to clean up here as it's now just the remaining stagger. Siren not able to get the res. As this will be. It was so close towards the end with that res.
I was like, this is a crazy play, but if it works, and it almost did. It is a bigger time bank for Inevitable, so they've put themselves in a position, but we saw this last time for Inevitable as well, is that they didn't have as big of a time bank, but they made an incredible push. So has the bike racks figured out again what they've been seeing from Inevitable is the biggest question here, moving on to their next attack round. 1.5 minutes, good amount of time to push pretty far, Rich, so you still have the potential to turn this into a good win condition.
And we're going to see if they can. They were able to pull through towards the end in Watchpoint Gibraltar. Maybe they'll be able to do the same here on King's Row as we look to see exactly what they're going to have coming out. And again, Cog on the Sombra, potentially on the attacking side. The defensive side, though, they will have May coming out by Xovius. Haven't yet seen this play from Xovius, so we'll be interested to see going from mainly a hit scan to a projectile. Will be interesting to see if they can, transition between that here, with a good 15 seconds still to go before they prepare.
This is a good choice because if you're a team that's not ready for it, you can walk right through this choke. That choke right where Mondada, you see the statue, you're not paying attention, the Mabe walls you off and you're dead. So if you're not paying attention, that's something that can happen. There is a way to sort of get around the wall if you're smart, going up through that room on the right side. where the Meridian is, but you know, you have to be ready and you have to realize that. And well, the Mei was actually not in a position really here to block anybody off. I'm a little surprised by that from Zovius.
But Greynarl finding that very difficult position as they are consistently being frozen, will be able to survive. They do get the D-Mech though onto Kyoto, even though they are still trying to pressure on a lot of members of the Bike Racks all over the map as they try to just find an early pick. Beautiful sleep onto Greynarl, does get bionated, but they are still surviving. Finally goes down with the assistance by Yoshi. Stellar play as we now continue to see them push back. 50 seconds to go, the remake occurring for Kyoto as they are going to start to strip it from behind. You see the rotation from Inevitable, and they have to wait here. They have, like you said, that increased distance to get back, and Bike Racks have a slight advantage, maybe.
They've got to get back a little bit quicker. You have so many players already coming back for the Bike Racks, or sorry, for Inevitable, and now it's a Deadeye too.
And does get one, Siren. Huge pick in the back, now going to get the flashbang onto the Coalescence, shutting it down, taking out Turtlefish as Flash Hyper comes in big on this defensive side for Inevitable.
They've managed to get a tick, but here's the problem. They've got 12 seconds left to get back, and they have to try and regroup it with as many players as possible before going on.
Kyoto now going onto the Wrecking Ball. Nice pick, the wall. They separated their own tank. If they can claim this kill and get back to the point quick enough, that might just be an opportunity as they force now that opportunity. Oh, with Greynarl. Primal Rage. Turtle having to fade away. Not going to be able to do so as the Primal Rage continues to knock them back. Rockets coming overhead by Funk Frog as the Deadeye once again comes out in the backside. Does get the double. Looking to push them away from this point as the pin will follow through by Tank. But EMP, no members remaining. This is only going to be Cog and Turtlefish's battle as the overtime shreds away. But you still see Bike Racks claiming a tick on this first point.
So they have their win condition alive to force a map 5, but this is perfect for Inevitable. They do have a pretty good time bank. They stomped on this first point last time, so this is setting up really well for them to get this bronze medal. The other thing too, Rich, here to consider for the Bike Racks, if Cog doesn't die first in that fight, EMP is available probably right afterwards and goes off, and they probably win that fight. So Cog going down at the beginning was really what ends up unfortunately losing them that fight, but they still have an opportunity here defensively.
And they're going to lay it all on the line. They want this reverse sweep. They want the Bike Racks to at least place somewhere in the top 3 as we have 30 seconds looking to get into that position. And we're going to see now on the defensive side, Greynarl playing the Orisa with the Funk Frog. Or no, correction, I'm sorry, switching it up. You see them hovering over it, but Zovius back on the Junkrat here.
They're going in the Junkrat, and on the other side, Funk Frog is going with the Bastion. So they are pulling out all the stops. They've got the Baptiste as well. We'll see where they set up, though. This is one of the most important things, is picking where you're going to set that Bastion up. If you set it on the low ground, Tank can come through and charge right into you is the only thing. So your reset has to be positioned in front of your Bastion and be ready with that shift to stop that from happening.
And they're playing further back and not going to give that visual right out the doorway as they play the corner here near the hotel. Still getting a lot of damage. Hulk going to try and get somebody pulled to the front side as they're needing to watch out. Damage going to be funneled through onto Tank. The reposition is good here, but again, they only have to gain 38%. Cog getting a nice displacement. Doesn't get the kill, though, as they still look to turn and just really buying their time right now.
They have to be careful. They've already lost one, but Tank coming forward, dying like that, allows them to create more pressure and push themselves forward and get back into a good position for their Bastion. You have to imagine that the Sombra has to come out here at some point for the side of Inevitable. We know it's pretty much a fight win on a Bastion bunker comp, is everybody's in one place.
And you see now Kyoto just desperately trying to get back into this mech. They need to have it. Cog, though, finding an early pick in the back onto Yoshi. Didn't see it. Getting back now on the front side, does have the opportunity to get the combination onto Gilgamesh. Will have to force a retreat, though. That barrier is there. Tank configuration now going to come out by Funk Frog, getting the double, looking for the triple. Wants it! Does get swampy! As they will hold with 1 minute and 45 seconds. They are not yet out of this fight.
I'm a little surprised by the fact that we still haven't seen the Sombra come through. Like, you had to make it before this last fight. Now is when you got to do it if you want to try and get an MP for this fight. They're trying to push through, thinking that they can do this without that they're going to be able to do this with the Dragon Blade. That's what's going to all hinge on. But Yoshi is not close to the Nano Boost. It's going to maybe have to come without that. Of course, Riptire 2 could be the fight winner as well. Have to be ready for that if you're the Bastion.
And they're just playing so carefully, generating these ultimates. They want to win the ult battle right now, and that's what they're looking to do. They've got 4 going into this. Grey Gnarl about to have that supercharger to give the extra boosted damage here to Funk Frog, which almost has another tank configuration, which is going to be really scary.
Especially, too, depending on the timing of it. Here come the ults.
The Dragon Blade Nano Boost is going to come out in the backside. The Immortality Field is there, looking to slash through it. Can they gain enough value? The Deflect to stop the Bastion, but no! Funk Frog playing very carefully to not get the extra damage as they look to turn and hyper-focus onto Flash as they manage to get it. Also having the disc, ooh, the D-Mech, but the Riptire still keeping them slightly into the fight. They're going to have now 35 seconds to go, and you still see the Bike Racks persevering through the attack as now the aggression comes out by the tank configuration. Cog holding on to the Meteor Strike, and again, these rotations of the Immortality Field by Turtle have been critical.
Saved a couple of players. You had your Mercy saved with one of them from a pin, and they've just been perfect, and then the self-destruct as well. You just haven't seen anything get switched to, though, from Inevitable to really give themselves a chance to beat this bunker composition. You just have to get one easy wipe, and you would win.
3 seconds to go. They have to get onto the point. Gonna jump in with the Winston now, seeing if tanking gains some value. Tesla Cannon in the back, but getting a lot of fuel healing here by Siren as the Meteor Strike's now gonna come out by Cog. Can they collapse onto it? Does get the double and looks for the third, maybe even the quad, but the Dragon Blade now gonna come out by Flash. Do they have enough to turn it back around? Zovius getting a kill onto Funk Frog, but the res is there. The overtime ticks away, and you're gonna see the Bike Racks managing to still hold. Now going a 2-map to 2-map win to our 5th control map.
Incredible that they've been able to do this from the Bike Racks. Gutsy call to go with that Bastion comp, especially with the amount of time that Inevitable had on the clock. They could have made some switches on Inevitable's side to really try and give themselves a chance. I think that's one thing that they're going to kick themselves with their choices here, because Cog was able to pop off. All of that focus coming in and never being able to get kills through the damage or the healing that came through was massive.
And oh my goodness. Map 5, everybody. We've been wanting something like this since day 1, and of course it's happening with our lovely veterans and just real-life friends as they are going to consistently throw the salt at one another as we look to, like I said, go into the 5th map, which is my personal favorite, Ilios, where we will potentially see the map of well to bring your enemy to the pits of despair. As everybody looks like they are ready, no side switching at all, since this is just going to be an all-out brawl here. And you know, we've seen now the morale shift, but at the start, you did have Inevitable play a little bit more scrappy in the control map. Do you think that they'll be able to bring that back into this last one, Labosco?
I think this is the map type that benefits them most because mechanically speaking, they have, you know, Yoshi is one of the most mechanically gifted players that we've seen play. And they have a couple of other players who are extremely gifted in that sense as well. So sometimes your mechanics can really push you over the edge when you think of control maps, Rich. So I think this is the map type that benefits them the most. But even so, with the way that things have gone and with how Bike Racks has turned it around, they've got some mechanically gifted players too, like Cog and Turtlefish, so and Funk Frog. So this is something that I could easily see them winning on the side of Bike Racks and having this reverse sweep come through. So the biggest thing here, we're starting well. We're starting where you wanted to start, Rich. I think that's the best part. We get to see well.
I love it. I love it so much. This literally is like what I've wanted the whole tournament. I have waited for this moment, and it's finally here, and I'm just giddy like a schoolgirl on a Christmas morning with chocolates in hand.
What kind of chocolate?
Specifically Russian, because I am going to tell you right now, my fiance's parents always get the best chocolate from there, and it is literally to die for.
And now I'm curious to have some, but it should be no surprise here, Rich. We're on well. Guess what we're seeing? We're seeing Marissa's.
And we're also going to see an Ashe, which we have yet to see from either of these two teams. We've seen it accelerate in the grand finals. Will we be able to see it flourish here as well with that displacement and just overall Bob placement? Can Bob get the work done, as we are going to focus on whose environmental kills will persevere?
I know that you're a fan of Arises, but Yoshi is the one I'm going to be paying attention to because the Lucio here can be so sneaky, and somebody who's as gifted as Yoshi is, if he can make some good flanks, he can really make some things happen. So paying attention to that Lucio is one thing to be sure. And there's the hook!
And it will be Tank getting the follow-up after the hook onto Kyoto. Fungfrog going down, and there is the first environmental kill, most likely of many to come, as Inevitable is in the spot to get this for... Oop! Almost got the return hook there. We will claim it and start gaining some percentage.
I think Grey Gnarl was just trying to take someone with him. I give him, you know, it was an A for effort. Very valiant of him to try and do so. Wasn't going to work out. Now they have to think of how they want to dislodge this, though. They don't have the Pharah in the sky, which this is a map where this works really well.
And you're going to see now very patient Fungfrog trying to find some sightlines here onto Gilgamesh, who has been playing a very stellar Pharah and maintaining that high ground with the assistance from Swampy, playing so tightly with Cog, though, in the back. Barely able to evade and survive as they might find Yoshi all alone in the backside. Can they get the pick? Managing to do so. As now the engage continues to press forward. Here's the hook, though. Does get it. Beautiful play by Zovius with the quick pivot into the center pit. But Cog still flourishing on the front side, managing to get more Fungfrog in addition as they will look to switch this back around with a numbers advantage.
Cog and Fungfrog, the heroes here on those two players. They were able to get by while other players were falling in. But not only that, Cog is able to do so much work because of the small area that there is.
You see him now playing that high ground sneakily, having also that Meteor Strike. Ultimate starting to stack up as they are going to now unleash a ton. You hear Yoshi, though, in the back. Cog very aware of this as they look now to drop down. Almost gets it onto Tank. Fortify coming out just in time, but there's another stagger. It will be a huge play by Cog after the Immortality field, with the whole hog now going to be forced by Zovius. I feel a little bit preemptive now for the team. Only going to gain one onto Gnarl as they get the res. They might be able to switch it back, though.
I don't know where they were sending Bob. That's not the best place to send him, but they're coming in here with all their ultimates to turn this fight around.
45 now and starting to climb, stripping it away from Bike Racks at 40. But now the ultimate economy is very heavily favored in the side of the Bike Racks, and if they can rotate these appropriately onto this point, they'll be in a really good spot to keep this first map on well.
They should be able to, no problem. The important thing to pay attention to, though, is you do still have the supercharger on the other side, so just be aware of that and don't get caught just kind of falling asleep when you have a ton of output damage coming out extra thanks to the supercharger.
Now again, Doomfist in the back. Cog just consistently finding value, almost getting another. The Immortality field is there. Meteor Strike to quickly get the pick as well for extra damage as Kyoto follows up. Gilgamesh will at least take down Cog, but too little too late, as the Supercharger gave a lot of benefit here to the side of the Bike Racks, and they're still holding on to two ultimates.
Yeah, they really weren't able to do much on the side of Inevitable there. They do have some ultimates, so they can win them this. They only have to win one fight. That's the key difference here. It's going to be like 2 fights for the Bike Racks to win, so they've got to build up back to these ultimates quickly or just have Cog continue to pop off with Fungfrog.
90% to 53, trying to close the gap on this first map of the control point for them to see who can claim this third place in the bronze, as Hyper gets very low in the back, has to flank away, not going to be able to. Cog with the immediate follow-up, the pick now on the hook, forcing them away quickly. Swampy having to tuck away with her life as they now get a return hook, looking to break them down. It will be the sound barrier to get that extra push potential. 75, Deadeye with no longer having the damage boost, but still a potential opportunity as they're really just zoning them away. Does get Yoshi! Oh, right at the end of it. That is not what they want here as they reach 85%.
So now we're in last fight territory, Rich. Oh, these picks at the beginning, perfect though for Inevitable to turn this around.
High Noon on the flank, does manage to look to try and turn it by Flash Hyper, will gain 1, and they're gonna do it. 92 to 92, 8% to go. Are you gonna see Bike Racks managing to make it in time as they are maybe gonna get staggered? Greynar on the front, all alone. The Wrecking Ball in addition going to be overwhelmed. Kyoto in the center, does get pulled, but doesn't matter. Flash Hyper managing to get it as they are in the overtime last few seconds as Siren hits the point. But that will be enough here with the Supercharger to act as insurance as round 1 goes to Inevitable.
That was super close, though. It was just the ultimates were up on the side of Inevitable, Rich, to give them that very slight advantage and come out on top. So looking at this next map, you're not going to have as many environmental kills that are going to come through on Lighthouse. You still have the chance for that, but it's so much more difficult. So this is something that can actually play into the factor of the Bike Racks, because most of their kills did not come because of environmental. They came because Cog was popping off and hitting players with that Doom Fist. And you still haven't seen really any focus switches come through for the side of Inevitable to really focus down Cog, who is actually on a Pharah now.
Kyoto going to the Diva, not surprised, going on that very comfortable pick, as we actually are going to see a little bit of a switch. Zovius going onto the Lucio with Yoshi on the Tracer. They haven't seen too much crowd control on the side of the bike racks, and they're trying to exploit that here with really a Symmetra now coming out by Funk Frog, and they're going to go right to the point here.
They do have that extra distance that they can cover with it, but Turtlefish is dead first.
The pin managing to claim one, but they get an even exchange, taking out Flash Hyper on the Doomfist of their own, seeing if they can just scrappy this fight out. Scrappy, yes, scrappy. Just no idea where I went with that, as Flash Hyper still continues to get some damage on the front side, looking to now finally potentially go in favor of Inevitable, as they are getting the picks needed in this close corridors, but they're still alive.
At least for the moment, they got the res on, but can they win with just 2 players left is the problem.
Now, Yoshi looking for Cog, finding him in the skies, looking for the melee. Does manage to get the pulse bomb thrown a little bit too preemptively there, as they will waste that ultimate, but they want to secure this percentage. They're still going back and forth. Does get the pick now onto Greynarl on the Reinhardt, which will allow them to claim this point, and you now see the bike racks needing to play very carefully, because they will start losing this percentage against Inevitable.
They pulled away from the Symmetra, which I think is a good move, but I'm still surprised. You saw how much work Flash Hyper did on that small point. I'm just surprised that they don't have Cog on the Doomfist. Not saying that the Fair is a bad choice, but compared to his Doomfist, Yoshi's Escape isn't even letting him get to the point right now.
They tried to get a displacement on a tank with that rocket, couldn't follow through on it, but now Greynarl getting a double on the low ground. They may have a good opportunity to turn this back over, as Turtlefish is going to switch now. Self-destruct on the front side. Earthshatter to the flank of tank. Will look to get the pin. That is going to be enough. They only used it on one, but they want to secure this turnaround as they get the boop onto Zovius on the Lucio, forcing him off the point, as they're going to just try and run the clock here to keep as much percentage as possible.
I don't know if he had his charge available or not, but that would have been something that they could have used instead of that Earthshatter, and then save the Earthshatter to have basically the same effect as what they did.
2% in climbing, having 2 ultimates. Cog along with Siren here with these ultimates. Funk Frog nearing their own with a Deadeye, as they have to watch out for this Meteor Strike from Hyper, who has been doing very well, surprisingly. We haven't yet seen it on the Doomfist. Playing well, as it's 48% for the side of Inevitable.
Very little bit from Flash Hyper, but Flash Hyper has been at this ultimate for a while, and China just been sitting on it. They lost Swampy at the beginning. They've lost so much healing at the start. Unless Flash Hyper finds a pick right now, they should be backing out.
And they're looking for it, but the flashbang immediately, the hard counter by the McCree, still sticking on this, and those hesitations with the ultimate usage and not looking to get into the better position will cause them problems here. Yoshi getting the pulse bomb, not going to be able to do so. Bike Rack's now going to force this point, still managing very well on the inside, as it's going to be another late stagger. Tank managing to get Cog, but that is not going to be enough with an easy res here for Siren to sustain through this, as now they're at about 50%. They're at the halfway marker, as now you see again Hyper having to retreat and use the Meteor Strike defensively.
That's a good ultimate to get out. That's one less player that can maybe get taken out, although he's still... Did he ever come down? I didn't see him. Oh, he finally did come down, I think. Regardless, though, this looking super good for the side of the bike racks. You have to just make sure that you cycle your ults correctly. You have such a big ult advantage now, and you only have to win basically one fight, maybe a fight and a half.
And they're relying solely on Swampy's Moira right now as the support. There is a lot riding there for the side of Inevitable, as there's still a ton of damage by Cog getting the pick. Again, those rockets raining. It's difficult for Swampy because she's so far in the back trying to stay safe herself and can't get close enough to heal these members.
Zovius is, McCree does a lot of damage, but McCree is still an extremely static target. So early advantage. Now you've got to use your ultimates. You're at 95%. Win this fight.
Self-destruct on the front side. Dragon Strike, though, they find a double. This might be enough for Inevitable to switch it back, and it looks like it just might be. Unbelievable. The triple DPS coming out big as they turn it around into overtime.
It didn't seem like they were ready for what was coming through. They let them position wherever they wanted for Inevitable. They didn't aggress onto them with all the ultimates that they had. They still can use them here to win this fight. You still have to only win one fight, but your ult economy advantage has slimmed down. You don't have as large of one, and the Earthshatter can easily turn this around by tank.
Now starting to maneuver through this choke point here. They have to play smart since they... Ooh, flashbang onto Zovius. Can they get the pick? almost able to do so. That would have been critical for them to get it, but they're going to sustain through the healing. Swampy playing very careful. They have the Coalescence for the extra healing and damage as well, as Kong looks for a flank here, wanting to find a Rocket Barrage potentially through the window port on the backside. Is going to have to reposition, though. Does get the displacement onto Swampy. The only support! They want to collapse on this now, as Zovius looks for the hit scan, won't be able to find it. It will now be the raining damage, giving justice to the team of Inevitable as self-destruct might just give enough space. 99 to 99 as the overtime commences. Kyoto now going to get to the front side. Kog going to get rezzed in the back as the Dragon Blade's now going to come out for Flash Hyper, seeing if they can gain the opportunity. Kog getting slashed out of the sky, looking for some more as the overtime still commences. Coalescence regaining the chance by the side of Inevitable. Now going to try and hyper-focus the backline onto Turtlefish as they continue the numbers advantage in favor of Inevitable, as the Deadeye is now going to come out on the backside looking to break down the shield. Does get it. Overtime still commencing. They look like they'll do it. The chance is there. They want to claim it, and that's going to be it. Inevitable able to strip it back on the second map of Helios to claim it against the Bike Racks, taking the bronze placement in the RichRad Community Tournament.
Huge ults coming from Zovius, from Yoshi, and from the Genji as well. So all those ultimates at the end really win them that fight. And it wasn't Yoshi didn't use an ultimate there, but just used his storm arrows to help deal out so much damage. So really, oh, that's a nice punch kill there, but that was an incredible end, and you couldn't ask for a better end to a tournament when you talk about a third place game, going to a map 5 and almost going the entire distance.
I mean, unbelievable is the word to use, and I am just going to say, yes, you are correct, my friend. What a match to end on. Going into the 5th, seeing who will claim, even though it was the bronze, it's still a placement holder for you to say that we made it here. And again, props to both teams giving it their all, because they had a huge turnaround midway through it where a lot of teams cannot pull themselves back into it with the morale, as that will be it. And I have to say to all of these teams, thank you so very much. Thank you so very much, Labasco, for being a caster, Univeth for being an amazing, individual to help me in the admin, and just all around in the tournament. There are so many people to thank, and it's really hard for me to even just conclude this cast because it's reaching an end of an amazing opportunity. It was a landmark for me to do my first tournament, and going to move forward, taking all of the things that we've learned from it to bring it into a next one, to have even more hype action, just as we saw here for the community and those just tuning in and watching. So thank you so very much for being a part of it, my friend. I have to say it's been a pleasure, seriously.
Well, thank you for letting me be a part of it and being a part of this community. It's an incredible community that you've been able to sort of get together here throughout your time, and I just can't wait to see how else it continues to grow, because it's just so much fun and so cool to see, and just getting to know some of the people, a bunch of which you just saw play in this game that I got to know being part of ASIN with you. It's a bunch of really great people that have all gotten together.
And I will go ahead and conclude it on that note. Thank you so very much. And again, for those of you that have been a part of this, you all are fantastic and amazing. I appreciate each and every one of you. For those that are viewing, definitely find out more in the information below, as we will look to conclude it. Thank you so very much. Have a wonderful rest of your night. Take care. Happy gaming. And I look to see you further in many matches to come.
Choppers, better took those risks. Cool, but in my fists we fire starters. One out of a million will reach those heights. Always had a feeling that I won't deny that work. Never could toss. Look in my eyes, I'm on the rise. Feelings, we just flowing. Yeah, I'm that grain of sand motion. A couple milli now, I'm causing a commotion. I've been coasting, hear my name around the world like an explosion.
So rise up, rise up. We are the apocalypse, and a path that keeps us floating. As we fly above the stars, the hype won't scare us falling. So rise up, way too great to be landed. Rise up, way too great to be standing.
They ain't never gonna stop us, flying by them like choppers. Better tuck those risks, hold one of my fists, we fire starters. Let's go. One out of a million will reach those heights. Always had a feeling that I won't deny that work. Never could toss, look at my eyes, I'm on the rocks.